We start Fox 13 News at 9 with breaking news tonight in Springville, where police are now investigating an apparent murder-suicide involving a 20-year-old man and a 17-year-old girl.
They were found in Hobble Creek Park in Springville in Utah County. Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree joins us live from the scene tonight. Jenna, what have you learned?
Bob and Kelly, police say they do have reason to believe this young man shot his ex-girlfriend and then killed himself. Around 3 this afternoon, police got a welfare check call on this young girl, and they said the caller said that the couple had just broken up the night before, and they were worried about the girl's well-being because the ex-boyfriend had made threats. Later on, police found out the 20-year-old man had told his mom, "We'll be at Hobble Creek Park." Officers found both the man and girl inside a car, slumped over in their seats with gunshot wounds on both their heads. The man was pronounced dead on the scene. The girl was light flighted to the hospital, but officials say she is not expected to survive.
Our hearts go out to the victims, to the students that are now going to have to deal with this and grieve in their own way. And we want to make sure that they have what they need to get through this. It's not going to be easy, but as a community, we bind and bond together and we get through this.
And Lieutenant Foster told us the girl's parents had actually reached out to the police prior to today and had asked, "How do I get my daughter to not continue to date this man?" They do have strong reasoning to believe it was a case of dating violence, but they could not confirm it. And out of respect for the families of the victims, they are not releasing the names of the two involved. Reporting live in Springville, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Jenna, thank you. If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide, help is available 24/7. Just call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255.
Well, tonight, Quick Quack Car Wash is responding after a freak accident at their Sandy location yesterday. A malfunction at the car wash involving a washing brush led to 3 vehicles getting their windows and windshield shattered and at least 5 people being hurt. A representative for Quick Quack Car Wash says they are now investigating the incident. They're also reaching out to each of the customers involved to make sure they are safe and doing okay. Their statement goes on to say, quote, "We care about the safety of our customers and have procedures in place to avoid such incidents, and we are reviewing those as part of our investigation. We're also working with our team to reinforce our safety protocols."
St. George police are looking for 2 armed robbery suspects tonight. Investigators say Nathan Lee Burkett and Randy Colwell are from Henderson, Nevada. Police say they robbed the Dillard store at the Red Cliffs Mall on Sunday and took off on 2 motorcycles. Then the next day, the 2 tried to steal a dual-axle trailer at the Terrible's gas station. They were unsuccessful and left behind an SUV with a variety of drugs and firearms. If you know where these 2 suspects are, call St. George Police right away.
On Utah's Capitol Hill today, young people from the LGBTQ community, along with their friends, family, and teachers, rallied on the Hill, calling for more inclusion and support in Utah schools. The organizing group, Utah Fam, spoke to Bob Evans today about the first change they hope to see from lawmakers.
There needs to be an understanding and a recognition that when laws are passed, in these sessions, with our lawmakers, they are impacting children. And we're talking about real life kids who have to deal with the ramifications of these decisions that are being made by adults.
Utah Fam also believes more inclusive coursework in schools will better prepare all students for the real world. Another event at the Utah State Capitol today was truly historic.
It was. Governor Spencer Cox and other elected officials and historians sealed a 100-year time capsule containing items that indicate what life is like in Utah in the year 2022. The capsule contains video messages from elected leaders, license plates, photos from cities and towns around the state, books, COVID-19 memorabilia, and a letter from Governor Cox to his counterpart in the year 2122. I asked him how he got into the mindset of giving advice to a Utah governor 100 years in the future.
Well, I think it's easier to look back 100 years and see the advice that was given then, see how different Utah was 100 years ago, and then try to project that forward. Certainly, we've seen tremendous growth, and the world is changing at a more rapid pace than ever before. So I think it's probably harder than ever to imagine what life will be like then. But I do believe that there are some principles that will carry through that are timeless, and those principles are the things that Utah is known for, and that's our ability to collaborate, our ability to work together, and to look outside of ourselves to solve problems and look to future generations.
The time capsule will be placed in the same location at the state capitol where the last 100-year time capsule was placed. That capsule was supposed to be opened in 2014, but it took 2 years for archivists to finally find it and open it. Items inside included a newspaper, photographs, a student autograph book, and a single pristine stick of chewing gum.
Just one stick of that chewing gum.
Just one.
It is going to be hard come 100 years.
Yeah.
It won't be chewable at the time. What a gorgeous day to be out here at the Utah State Capitol.
It really was.
Yeah, beautiful temperatures outside, Allison.
Yes, and temperatures overnight not too bad. Close to 60 for Salt Lake and Ogden for overnight temps. Provo mid-50s with partly cloudy sky tonight. What we're tracking for you this evening is still very comfortable, 75 degrees here in Salt Lake. Perfect patio weather this afternoon with our wind right now out of the southeast at 5 miles per hour. We have clouds that are streaming through central and eastern Utah now. Here along the Wasatch Front, we have partly cloudy sky. Hour by hour, getting ready for bed this evening. We're still close to 70 for Salt Lake, Ogden at that time, mid-60s for Provo and Tooele. And then we head into tomorrow morning. We hardly cool off, mid-50s for Tooele and Provo, low 50s for the Cache Valley, close to 60 for Ogden and Salt Lake. And then St. George tomorrow morning near 70. Hour by hour into tomorrow afternoon, we are hardly going to be warming up tomorrow. We'll have highs that are rather comfortable, but not as hot as today. It'll be a windy Thursday. We have a strong cold front moving in, fire warnings, hard freeze watches for Friday night, and then some nice weather for the weekend. I'll talk more about tomorrow's storm system coming up.
All right, thanks, Allison. A new tool now in the hands of Utah's Department of Public Safety dive team could help solve crimes and also keep their divers safe.
Fox 13 News anchor Brian Schnee spent the afternoon with the team as they trained ahead of the expected rush to Utah's lakes and reservoirs.
Most of my experience now, unfortunately, is on the tragic end of boating trips.
Members of the DPS dive team know that water is nothing to mess around with.
It's easy to come out on the lake and be out on the lake and you think you're a good swimmer, you think that everything's nice and calm, but you don't know when it's going to turn.
Sergeant Greg Kelsey and his team are approaching their busy season. The team is equipped with sonar, dry suits, and the latest technologies to keep them safe.
It sounds counterintuitive, but the safest thing we can do on a dive team is not dive.
The dive team's been in operation for about 2 decades, scanning waters like Deer Creek Reservoir for things under the surface. Now they've got some new technology, a robot that'll not only hopefully keep divers safe, but speed up the process.
Years in the making for the team, this brand new underwater robot, equipped with sonar technology, a video camera, and a grabber.
In the past, when there was a drowning victim, there's really nothing you could do but send divers down to search for them. Now we can drop the robot either from the shore if we're close enough, from a support boat.
In most circumstances, this robot, who doesn't have a name just yet, will change how the dive team operates entirely.
So he was right there when I left on that time.
Having to stop the sonar boat and deploy a diver, you're stopping the search for a couple of hours while you deploy divers. This way, the large boat just keeps going, keeps searching for additional targets.
Oh, you got a hold of her dress.
Targets can mean vehicles or evidence searches involving firearms, or most commonly, people, meaning a recovery mission. The goal for this robot is to keep divers out of harm's way.
That way, the divers aren't deployed until we know exactly where we're going and exactly what we want them to go do.
At Deer Creek Reservoir, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We're very concerned that those reservoirs will run dry.
A summit is underway about the health and future of the Great Salt Lake as lawmakers get more bad news about the state's water situation.
And I think that was shameful. It was, in my opinion, misspent state dollars.
Test Utah ran for 2 years. So what did it cost the taxpayers? We have the numbers coming up.
The Pac-12 North and South divisions are no more. I'll tell you the route the Utah football team has to take to get back to the Pac-12 championship game.
And a unique honor for an Olympic gold medalist from right here in Utah.
Human trafficking is a $150 billion a year industry with more than 40 million victims. The group Truckers Against Trafficking wants to do something about that. The Freedom Driver Project was in Utah today. It's a 48-foot mobile exhibit that underscores the realities of trafficking and how truckers are helping to combat the problem.
We want to visit every state. We believe everyone needs to be educated. We believe everyone needs to know, and trafficking happens in all 50 states. It's not just one place where trafficking happens, so we want to make sure we educate everyone.
The exhibit shows how just one call can help save lives. The hotline number is 1-888-373-7888. You can find that number and a link to Truckers Against Trafficking with tips on how you can help at fox13now.com.
Tonight, an 8th grade student at Bonneville Junior High School is speaking up after she says she was targeted and discriminated against by the assistant principal there at the school. 14-year-old Melanie Orr says her excitement about wearing a new outfit to school was crushed yesterday after she was told by the assistant principal she was not following the dress code. Melanie says other girls were wearing clothing that she believed did not follow dress code and asked the assistant principal if he was going to penalize them as well. She says that he told her no. She then asked if he was singling her out because her skin color is brown. She says he answered, quote, yes, without hesitation.
After what he said to me, that's something you'll never forget, and he can't take that back after what he said. I was wearing cargo pants and a shirt that showed the littlest bit of stomach.
The Granite School District told us the employee involved was immediately placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. The district did release a statement to Fox 13 News. In part, it reads, quote, harassment and racism will not be tolerated in any form. We anticipate taking appropriate action once the investigation is complete. We appreciate the parent and student bringing this concern to our attention so that it can be addressed.
The Utah Transit Authority is investigating a man's death after he was hit by a front-runner train this morning. It happened at about 5:20 in Clinton in northern Davis County. This incident caused major delays north of Salt Lake City.
Anytime someone loses their life, we do a thorough investigation into it just so we can make sure that we're doing all the things that we can to prevent these types of things from happening. And to make sure that we fully understand what happened and why it happened.
UTA set up a bus bridge until trains could resume full service a few hours later.
If you are planning on driving to a Memorial Day getaway, not this weekend, but the following weekend, you will definitely not be alone. According to AAA, nearly 40 million Americans are expected to hit the road and drive at least 50 miles this upcoming Memorial Day weekend. However, the number of fatalities are on the rise. U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is calling it a crisis on our roadways. Here in Utah, we have been reporting on the uptick in reckless, also aggressive driving that's resulted in numerous and needless accidents resulting in death and injury.
Reckless driving behaviors are really on the rise, and that's something that we would caution everybody to watch out for, not only yourselves as drivers, but watch out for those other drivers on the road who are acting recklessly.
Utah Highway Patrol is about to kick off their Click It or Ticket campaign. They will be out in full force for Memorial Day weekend. That's also the time when the so-called 100 deadliest days of summer begins. Officials also say it is good to know before you go, so download the UDOT app or check the website for any potential trouble spots.
Switching gears to weather now, and it is a gorgeous evening outside. Look at this. I'm telling you, do not go outside to experience this firsthand. Stay right where you are and experience it with us right here on television, because you don't have to expend nearly as much energy if you just sit there.
Will you allow people to open their windows, though, to get some of that nice fresh air breeze?
Well, I don't know. If you've got remote control windows, go ahead.
I'll allow
it. This is gorgeous, Allison.
Oh my goodness, what a nice night. Here in Salt Lake City right now, our temperature is currently 75 degrees. We have light wind currently, and come tomorrow, that is going to be warmer than our highs for many of you tomorrow. So today we did make it into the 80s. 83 was our high. 92 would have been our record for today, but 74 is where we typically are this time of year for an average high, with about 50 for an average overnight low. We have partly cloudy sky here across the state this evening, but wow, what a beautiful sunset that we currently have. We have mainly dry conditions for many of you. Could see a few areas of sprinkles near the Idaho border this evening, but really the wind is going to be the primary concern and impact as we head into your Thursday. So with this system, by 2:30 tomorrow, we have a front that's moving through, and our wind really ramps up tomorrow statewide. All of Utah will be experiencing windy conditions after lunch tomorrow, with the areas of purple, so northeast Utah from about I-70 up through Wyoming all the way towards I-15, seeing wind gusts 45 to 55 miles per hour. We'll continue with some areas of very breezy conditions through Thursday at 11 p.m. and then by Friday morning we have calmer conditions here across the state. So it'll be much cooler come Friday and Friday night. So tomorrow with our wind and still with the heat for southern Utah, our fire outlook is elevated from about Capitol Reef south. And then we're going to have critical fire weather from about Blanding over towards Bryce Canyon further south into Arizona. Overnight temperatures not bad, close to 60 when you wake up tomorrow morning, so you might be a little confused being like, I thought there was a cold front on the way. Not first thing tomorrow morning, so you'll have a pleasant start tomorrow. Honestly, I wouldn't even be too surprised if those temperatures are a little bit warmer than low 60s. And then for St. George, you're near 70 first thing tomorrow morning. Tomorrow here in Salt Lake throughout the day, those temperatures will remain about 65 to 70 for much of the afternoon. We'll have breezy conditions. Our wind will be around 10 to 25 miles per hour during the second half of the day. And then we're going to start cooling down after 2 p.m. tomorrow. So we're not going to continue with that daytime heating until later in the afternoon. And finally, our UV index tomorrow is not as high as it has been the last few days. It's been very high the last couple of days. Tomorrow it will be moderate, but I would still recommend that sunscreen. Tomorrow at 4 p.m., we're close to 65 degrees for Ogden, Salt Lake, still in the 70s for Eagle Mountain, Provo as we continue to cool down, and St. George, you're near 100 degrees tomorrow. Here along the Wasatch Front, we're going to have widely scattered showers Thursday day and Friday day. Drier this weekend. Chance for a few isolated showers Sunday night, but overall a pretty dry 7-day forecast for almost all of you. St. George close to 100 tomorrow, 77 Friday, back into the 80s on Saturday. Here along the Wasatch Front, we're much cooler Friday at 57 for a high, lows in the 30s Friday night, Saturday 65.
Is he superhuman? Salt Lake City's golden boy is back in town.
It's amazing. I'm so excited to be back here in Salt Lake.
The honor bestowed upon Nathan Chen from the governor and what he's up to now.
It's good, you know.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, Utah celebrated U.S. Olympic gold medalist and Salt Lake City native Nathan Chen.
Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph was at the Utah State Capitol today as elected leaders declared today Nathan Chen Day.
Is he superhuman?
I mean, truthfully, I didn't really think I was going to be able to make it to where I made it in figure skating. So,
brilliant short program from Nathan Chen.
I'm absolutely certain that there's going to be many other young athletes that will be able to achieve it. So long as they have the inspiration and the passion, I think that's the most important thing.
He's become a household name around the world.
It's amazing. I'm so excited to be back here in Salt Lake.
And now Salt Lake's golden skater is back home.
This is where the journey started, so it's special.
with Governor Spencer Cox declaring today Nathan Chen Day. Chen won gold at the 2022 Olympics and is a 3-time figure skating world champion. So what does someone who's won it all do? Well, Wednesday at the Maverick Center, he'll be performing in front of a home crowd as a part of the Stars on Ice program.
My mom actually drove out from California, so she's here tonight. And then my first coach, Stephanie Grosskopf, will be coming to the show tonight, which will be really fun. And then some of my old elementary school teachers actually will be here as well.
He's also advocating to bring the Olympics back to Utah.
Salt Lake is incredibly equipped to be able to handle one, considering that they had one.
Hoping to inspire the next generation.
So many young athletes will be inspired by having the Olympics here. So many young Utahns will either pick up sport for the first time or will continue, being inspired by sport.
Including fans and autograph seekers.
Hopefully today with Nathan Chen coming and being recognized that they can aspire to be a gold medalist too.
Beyond being an Olympian, he's reaching for other goals too.
My future's still pretty to be decided. My next objective is to go back to school, so I have 2 more years of school. I know my journey obviously isn't over, but I'm really proud of all the things that I've accomplished already and looking forward to seeing, what's next.
So what can you do to celebrate Nathan Chen Day?
Go to the ice rink, go skate.
Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah paid tens of millions for COVID testing, but regulators found flaws.
There is a possibility none of those were accurate.
Fox 13's Nate Carlisle explains the errors in the process.
I probably said wrong information that was just passed along, thinking it's the right information.
And in the labs.
We didn't have the proper equipment to store anything.
How a software company landed this lucrative contract.
I think that was shameful. It was misspent state dollars.
The COVID contract, coming up next on Fox 13 News.
It was so cold inside the cab where the tests were that there is a possibility none of those were accurate.
And I think that was shameful. It was, in my opinion, misspent state dollars.
Your viewers should feel rest assured that the sites that were being operated were being done really well with seasoned professionals in the healthcare industry.
For 2 years, you saw the Test Utah COVID-19 sites all over the Beehive State. Maybe you got tested there too.
But what did Utah pay for that testing? And what did Test Utah do and receive for that money? Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle looked up the numbers and a March inspection report.
Test Utah formally ended March 31st, but the testing sites could return as part of the contract with Orem-based Nomi Health that lasts until mid-2025. So far, Utah has paid Nomi $78 million, mostly for testing. Nomi has contracts in other states too, and according to the CDC, Nomi has asked the federal government for $334 million as reimbursements for testing the uninsured. So, how good has Nomi's Utah testing been? We looked at public records and talked to some of the workers who have swabbed the noses and collected the spit.
One time in Monticello, it was blizzard snow. It was so cold inside the cab where the tests were that there is a possibility none of those were accurate because it depends on how hot or warm the test solution is.
Stephanie Campbell says she worked at Nomi Health's Test Utah sites from February 2021 to January of this year.
I'd swab people and then I would help with running the tests and giving people their results.
This person did the same thing during that span. She asked we not use her name or show her face because she's still working in the healthcare industry.
Some of the resulting liquids that needed to be warm would just be cold sometimes just because we didn't have the proper equipment to store anything.
Those 2 workers weren't the only ones worried about temperatures and other problems at Test Utah. This March report from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services explains how staff on multiple occasions failed to keep samples and equipment properly maintained. The report, first obtained by our news sharing partners at the Salt Lake Tribune, also describes a lack of training for staff, something the workers we talked to said.
So being an employee of almost a whole year, I've done things 1,000 different ways.
I'll be honest, I probably said wrong information that was just passed along, thinking it's the right information.
She said that included telling patients the rapid tests were more reliable than perhaps they really were. In February of this year, the Utah Department of Health told companies operating mobile testing sites
The Utah Department of Health is pausing all rapid testing at its facilities and contracted testing sites
to temporarily stop using rapid tests due to concerns about accuracy. The workers we talked to worried issues at Test Utah aggravated the accuracy problems.
They'd run out of gas and they'd run out of heating elements, and we'd have to warm them up by our hands.
The CMS report says staff were also using disposable hand warmers to heat up extraction solution. Campbell, who had no prior healthcare experience, showed us these photos she took from her days at Test Utah.
And they were more worried about the line of cars, if we were wearing our proper PPE, and how many tests we were doing in a day.
This photo shows the bags holding rapid tests already opened so they can quickly be used on patients. The CMS report found the same thing, but the bags aren't supposed to be open until the samples are ready to be taken.
Because they'd expect us to get through cars really quickly. We'd pre-open all the tests and put them in a little container, and then we just grab and go, right? And little did we know that apparently wasn't sanitary.
Nomi was a health software company when the pandemic started, but began COVID testing in 2020.
Government cannot do it all. We need the private sector to step up.
Governor Gary Herbert's office negotiated contracts with Nomi Health. In the first contract, the office used emergency powers to award the job without taking competitive bids.
They went outside of the customary process, which was to go through the agency responsible for the testing.
David Sunwall led the Utah Department of Health from 2005 to 2011. He says Utah should have turned to established testing companies, some of which already operated in the state.
And I think that was shameful. It was, in my opinion, misspent state dollars.
Bids were accepted for the current contract Nomi won and still operates under. The CMS inspector cited one other thing that rapid test manufacturers warned could give false results. The tests have to be read no sooner than 15 minutes and no longer than 20 minutes after solution is applied. But staff weren't always reading in that time frame.
If there were negative tests, that could be a serious problem for people who had COVID and didn't know it.
We wanted to ask Nomi about all this. A company representative gave us a copy of this letter Nomi received Friday from CMS. It says, due to corrections made at the testing sites, Nomi is now in compliance with federal standards. It's worth noting, however, Nomi now operates a fraction of the Utah testing sites it did back in March.
We have really strict standard operating procedures that we ask and we train our teams and retrain our teams regularly to follow.
We also referred back to this interview Nomi Chief Operating Officer Josh Walker gave Fox 13 News back in March.
Your viewers should feel rest assured that the sites that were being operated were being done really well with seasoned professionals in the healthcare industry.
You kind of get thrown into it blind, and you're following other blind people.
We asked the workers what level of confidence they had in tests from Test Utah, with 1 being no confidence and 10 being total confidence. They both said PCR tests are reliable, but
I would give the rapid test a 3.
Probably a 3, honestly, for rapid tests.
this is the price schedule for Nomi's testing contract with the state of Utah if COVID-19 surges again and the state wants to reboot Test Utah. The base cost is $75,000 per testing site per month, plus $8 for each test. In the studio, Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
It is National Police Week, and SLCPD is taking time to honor those who served and sacrificed. We'll show you their touching tribute.
And the Salt Lake International Airport is about to get busy. What they're doing to prepare for summer travelers.
Governor Cox has declared May as Maternity Mental Health Month. His declaration points out that almost half of Utah mothers report mental health symptoms before, during, or after pregnancy, and 1 in 7 mothers deal with depression in the months after giving birth. The announcement was attended by survivor moms, families, and maternal health providers.
A lot of women will be struggling even during pregnancy, experiencing depression or anxiety, and if we screen and support those women earlier on, actually it can help conditions from exacerbating during the postpartum phase.
Well, the group heard about the latest data on the issue of maternal mental health and recent legislation aimed at helping those who suffer from it.
Well, the summer is nearly here, and the Salt Lake International Airport is getting ready. The airport's expecting a busy summer travel season with Americans splurging on what they call revenge travel. after the pandemic. AAA reports 2022 travel bookings are off to a strong start, and others predict this summer will be the busiest travel season ever.
We had 27 million passengers prior to the pandemic fly through the airport, and we're actually expecting to match or to beat that number this year. We currently have 375 flights daily to 95 destinations. And just to give you an idea of having an international airport in your backyard, that allows access to 500 cities worldwide within one stop.
Utahns heading out this summer can expect more international travel options. Fox 13 News has learned Delta has already started nonstop service to Amsterdam, London, and Paris.
Still ahead, drought worries continue statewide. The new areas of concern announced today.
And saying thank you to first responders. The ceremony today that honored those who drop everything to help others in need.
There's a big change in how Pac-12 football teams qualify to play in the conference championship game. I'll tell you about it coming up in sports. And it was game one of the Western Conference Finals. Was it the Warriors or Mavericks who came out on top? The highlights are on the way.
The Utah State Senate today confirmed the newest member of the Supreme Court. Judge Diana Hagan received a unanimous vote from the Senate to the state's top court. She was previously on the Utah Court of Appeals before being tapped by Governor Spencer Cox for the position. The governor will make another appointment to the Utah Supreme Court later this year for another vacancy.
This is National Police Week, and today Salt Lake Police and city leaders honored all the fallen officers in the department's history. 25 Salt Lake City police officers have been killed in the line of duty since the department was formed in 1851. Chief Mike Brown says each officer made the ultimate sacrifice to keep people in Salt Lake City safe.
It is not how these officers died that made them heroes. It's how they lived. The officers we remember today served their communities and their families. They had a willingness to always put others before themselves. That is what made them heroes and why we remember them.
Chief Brown also honored Lieutenant Drew Mizels, who passed away in a fight with cancer earlier this month.
Well, some of Utah's first responders were honored today for rising to the challenge. Several people who were nominated for going above and beyond the call of duty last year received Distinguished Service Awards. Among the honorees were those who responded to a deadly multi-car crash caused by a sudden dust storm on I-15 in Millard County last July.
I think it's a really neat opportunity for those involved in the scene to get a little bit of recognition for what they do. A lot of our people come from home, they carry pagers, they miss family events and things to come help other people in need, and I think it's a good way for them to be able to be recognized for the service that they do.
8 people died in that crash, including children. Rao there says it makes her very emotional just to think about it.
Utah's water situation could soon get worse. More reservoirs may run dry this year, and the Great Salt Lake water level could continue to drop.
Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has the story from the University of Utah.
This may be the last good news we get.
The good news is Utah is not in the worst drought category, but 99% of the state is still in severe or extreme drought. But Utah's reservoir situation is not looking good. Last year, the Gunnison Reservoir went dry.
It's scary.
This map shows some reservoirs in central and southern Utah are in danger of running dry right now with low water levels.
We're very concerned that those reservoirs will run dry. In addition to that, in an area closer to the Wasatch Front, we remain very concerned on the Weber system.
Leaders at Utah's Department of Natural Resources briefed lawmakers on the drought situation. The Great Salt Lake continues to decline.
These are really uncharted waters that we're sailing in, and unfortunately we just didn't see the lake come up much this year, and so it's going to go down and it's going to set new record lows, and by a good margin this year.
Lawmakers, scientists, and environmentalists are participating in a summit hosted by the group Friends of Great Salt Lake to talk about the problems and solutions.
More people are paying attention to the lake now than they have in the past.
The group's executive director says the legislature did pass some big measures on statewide water conservation and to help save the Great Salt Lake.
There are good policies, good laws that are now available. But again, climate change, mega drought, population growth, how we translate our water use, our water behavior into making water available for the system we all have to do our part.
A leading lawmaker on Great Salt Lake policy says everyone has a part to play.
In terms of what ordinary Utahns can do is we all just need to learn to get along with less. So in your homes and inside, and particularly outside in your yard, water less, farms to use less, businesses to use less. We just have to find a way to use less water if we're going to have the water that we need, I'd say for new uses and future growth, but even for existing uses and for resources like the Great Salt Lake that are so important to the state and its future.
Now, the governor has already declared another state of emergency for drought this year. At the University of Utah, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We'll have a mild night tonight ahead of a cold front that arrives early tomorrow. Temperatures through the evening will stay close to 60 degrees for most of you when you wake up tomorrow morning here across the Salt Lake Valley. Utah County will be a little bit cooler into the mid-50s, but then tomorrow it is still hot and windy across southern Utah, so we have fire concerns. Red flag warnings in effect Thursday and or Friday, depending on where you are. And then we also have wind alerts that have been issued through Moab. We have some wind advisories through Emory up through Price, and then brand new just issued for tomorrow from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. for the Utah Valley. That does include Provo, and we could see some areas that are things are not secured in your yard could blow away, and also we could have some power outages as a possibility. Further east towards the Uinta Basin, that's where we do have some high wind warnings in effect. And then as we look at some freeze alerts for you, a hard freeze watch for Thursday night and or again Friday night for the areas highlighted in blue, mainly the mountain valleys like up towards Park City, Morgan, near Bear Lake, Garden City, and then down towards Ephraim. So we'll have a hard freeze watch. Any sensitive plants, I would bring those inside or cover them up. Even here across the Wasatch Front, we're going to have temperatures dropping into the mid-30s to upper 30s come Friday night. So a very chilly start Saturday morning and then a nice afternoon. Satellite and radar here across the state. We have mostly cloudy sky for many of you. Up towards the Idaho border, we're seeing a few areas of very light rain. But overall, we're going to see a better chance for some scattered showers to develop tomorrow afternoon. Waking up along the Wasatch Front tomorrow morning, low 60s, mostly cloudy. And then late morning into early afternoon, we see a lot of wind picking up here across the state. So at 7 a.m., mid-50s for Provo and Eagle Mountain, close to 60 for Tooele, Salt Lake, Ogden. And then tomorrow for a high in Salt Lake, 71, 65 for Ogden, and for Provo, 76. For central and southern Utah, Cedar City, Richfield, and St. George, all windy. St. George close to 100 degrees tomorrow, mid-80s for Cedar and Richfield. And for eastern Utah, very windy, 93 in Moab, 81 in Price, and 79 in Vernal tomorrow. Come tomorrow afternoon, mainly after 3 p.m., we're going to have that chance for a few areas of scattered showers, maybe some isolated thunderstorms. Come Friday night, we'll see those snow levels dropping a little bit. And by 7 p.m. Friday evening, we could see a few areas of light mountain snowfall and light valley rainfall. And then our rain projection out of the next 2 days is all less than ½ of an inch of precipitation, mainly for the mountains. So that forecast snow total is taking you through Saturday up into the Uintas. We could see up to a foot of snow, but overall just a lot of heat in southern Utah tomorrow. Cooler on Friday at 77, 82 for Saturday in St. George. For Salt Lake, low 70s Thursday, 50s on Friday, much cooler, 65 on Saturday, a nice afternoon, and 70 by Sunday.
The Pac-12 Conference will no longer divide their football teams into the Pac-12 North and South divisions. After the NCAA relaxed the rules on conference title games, the Pac-12 announced that starting this upcoming season, the Pac-12 championship game will feature the two teams with the highest winning percentage. The Utes have been to the Pac-12 championship game 3 of the last 4 seasons after winning the South Division. But now, the Utes will have to finish first or second among the winning percentage among all the teams in the Pac-12 to get into the championship game. Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff said their goal is to place the 2 best teams in the Pac-12 championship game to increase their chances of getting into the college football playoffs. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals between Stephen Curry and the Warriors, Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. Doncha, which the first half 3, he puts it up, it's good, but he was 3 of 10 from long range, finished with 20 points. Neither team shot the ball well from three-point range, but Curry made this one early in the third quarter to put the Warriors up 17, and a little shimmy afterwards. Then he drives and hits the tough shot and one. He had 21 points, 12 rebounds, and the Warriors won at 112-87 to take game 1. The Utah and BYU men's golf teams both headed to the NCAA championships. The Utes finished 5th in the Norman Regional to qualify for nationals for the first time since 1988. The Cougars finished 3rd in Stockton Regional to qualify, with Carson Lundell winning medalist honors. The NCAA championships next week in Scottsdale, Arizona. BYU has hired Amber Whiting as the women's head basketball coach. Whiting's an Ogden native, played basketball at Snow, Weber State, and BYU, and recently coached Burley High School in Idaho. If you haven't been to a Kids Day, it's something else. 9,000 elementary school students filled Smith Ballpark today against Albuquerque. Some on hand to see this guy as well, former National League MVP and Rocky star Chris Bryant played his 2nd straight game against the Bees on a rehab assignment. Reached base twice with a base hit, and on this throwing error in the 3rd. The Bees pitching outstanding. Started Jake Kalish, 7 Ks, including back-to-back strikeouts in the 4th. Bottom half, Bees up 5-0. Michael Stefanik, he grounds out to short, but Monte Harris hustles around from second and gets in for the run. More defense contributing to the shutout, and it's Harrison again, diving catch in center field to get the out. David McKinnon also hit a solo home run in the 6th, all part of an 8-0 win over the Isotopes.
Nice. They did the same thing yesterday to the Isotopes, right?
Nothing like seeing a ballpark full of kids. No school, forget about that.
Such a gorgeous day. I mean, that was perfect. You couldn't ask for better.
Lots of hot dogs eating.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back.
Thanks for being with us tonight.
Quickcast is next.